After working as a general manager at the Hyatt Hotel in San Francisco, Bill Rizzuto decided he would move back to the East Coast where he grew up and start his own business. He grew up in an Italian American family in New York that loved to cook, so in 2003, he wanted to take a chance and try a new career in the restaurant business. Rizzuto's wood-fired kitchen and bar opened in Bethel, Connecticut in 2004. It is a restaurant that welcomes families and friends to a nice night out and an enjoyable Italian dinner. Since its grand opening 13 years ago, Bill has opened up two more locations in Connecticut and is putting plan- putting plans together to open a fourth place in his home state. I used to work at one of his restaurants during the summers, and I found Bill to be a great boss and a great leader. He treats all his staff members like family and is one of the most hardworking and focused individuals I have ever met. My name is John Haverlin, and I chose to use him for my study because I wanted to examine what leadership characteristics it takes to become a successful entrepreneur. Starting a business takes a lot of time and effort, and ultimately it's a great risk because no one has a crystal ball to look into that'll say if a business will succeed or not. First question I asked Bill was about why he wanted to open his own restaurants. He told me that he had experience working as a restaurant manager in places such as Walt Disney World in Florida and Las Vegas and New York City. And all this experience helped him gain the prestigious position of general manager at the Hyatt in San Francisco. However, he knew he wanted to move himself and his family somewhere closer to home because he missed it. It was a tough decision for him to leave California, but he wanted to be a business owner and felt the best place for an Italian restaurant would be back on the East Coast. He had plenty of experience working in the restaurant business, so he had full confidence in himself when he opened his own place. Now the owner of three locations, I asked him if he envisioned the popularity of his restaurants, or I'm sorry, if I asked him if he envisioned the popularity of his restaurants and if it was something that he could have foreseen. He said that if I had just one successful business, I would have been happy. I didn't think I'd have more than one at first. When he said this, I thought of him as a visionary. Clearly, he knew what he wanted to do with one restaurant, and he says he achieved his goals with the first one in 2004. But what about a second, or third, or fourth? He said, I want all of them to be unique in their own way, and even though they're all called risottos, they have some differences. The menus are different at all of them, and we offer different types of wine and things like that. And at one of the restaurants, we have live music on the weekends. At another, we have a lounge where people can sit and watch sports on television. They all have their own vibe. I'm not sure if I did that on purpose or not, but I suppose I'm a visionary to some extent because of it. Also, one of the most important details about owning and leading a business, Bill said, is having good relationships with his staff. He considers himself a transformational leader because he empowers his workers and encourages them to speak their minds when they have an idea, to improve service, or if they have a problem. Example he gave me of one of his workers looking to improve one of his restaurants was by offering more seafood options on the menu. This worker is a chef at one of his restaurants and thought it might be a good idea to add more seafood options because it is located on the South Shore of Connecticut and is very close to the Long Island Sound. Many of the other restaurants in the surrounding area are seafood-oriented places, and uh, I thought it might be helpful to offer it as well. He is also a transformational leader because he makes each restaurant unique on its location. So, for example, the seafood restaurant is a good example because it's right on the waterfront. The other example would be having live music in downtown, where there's a lot of people walking around on the weekends and a lot of people looking to go out and have a nice time. And for the third restaurant he has, it's in the suburbs and it has a more cozy feel because that's where customers can just sit and watch football on the television while eating and drinking. All these ideas are different from each other, and that's why he successfully maintained three businesses. In conclusion, Bill is a visionary and was willing to take the risks to get where he is today. His background in managing a business gave him the foundation necessary to start one from the ground up. It also gave him confidence because he knew what to do and what not to do when working with employees. When I used to work for him, he used to ask me in the middle of shifts if I were okay and if there was something I needed or if I needed any help with anything. He communicated with all of his waiters, his cooks, his busboys, and bartenders to make sure everyone was satisfied with their jobs. He would give all of us constructive criticism, and also he was willing to receive it. He liked taking suggestions from his workers, and I think that's part of the reason he is a successful leader and businessman today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned about Bill and the techniques he used to become a standout professional leader.